Hello, everyone. It's Shira Lazar for What's Trending from South by Southwest, coming to you from the Samsung Blogger Lounge with co-founder and CEO of what seems to be recognized as the app of the year of South by Southwest 2012 Highlight. It's Paul Davison. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Now, it must be a pretty exciting time for you.
Yeah, it's fun and exhausting and really exciting. We've been so heads down building the product and trying to get this release out, which just went out a couple days ago, that we haven't really had time to come up for air. So it's the first time we're actually meeting people from all these different cities who have found the product without us telling them about it and telling us all these stories about the connections that they're having. So it's super fun.
Well, what's been the process from idea to now?
So it's, the idea, it's something I've been thinking about for a really long time. Probably, 6 or 7 years. I've just been thinking about this whole idea that the people in our lives are just the most important thing in the world. Nothing matters more than the people around us, the people that we learn about, the people we meet. But the way that we do that is and always has been so inefficient, right? And so last year I was hanging out as an entrepreneur in residence, figuring out what I wanted to build, and my mind just kept coming back to this space. And so I was thinking about, what does this product look like? Because it's such a broad thing, right? Everything from how do you make friends when you move to a new city by yourself, or how do you find the co-founders or the right person to marry, or how do you learn more about the people around you? And I got really interested in the mobile side of things pretty early on, right? I remember going into a coffee shop last year, and I saw this guy wearing a t-shirt of the startup I'd been reading about. And I said, oh, cool, do you work there? And he said, I'm the founder, actually. And I had this great conversation with him, and I just know those moments are around us all the time, but there's never been anything to surface.
It's serendipitous in many ways.
Yeah, it's funny, one way I talk about it is, any city's like this, but take San Francisco as an example where we're from. San Francisco is just a city of 800,000 strangers. We sit on the bus next to each other, we stand in line next to each other, we go to bars and meetups to meet each other, we walk by each other on the street, and we don't know anything about anyone that we see. And that doesn't seem weird because it's always been that way, right? But if you think about it, it's pretty ridiculous. It's another way I've described it, it's kind of like the real world is this bizarre version of Facebook where every profile is just a single photo. And as we go about our day, that's what we browse. And all of a sudden, we have all this new technology that's going to change that, right? Smartphones are just now becoming ubiquitous. Facebook and online identity systems are just now becoming ubiquitous. We've got improvements in battery life that are just now good enough, and they're only getting better. We've got location technology that's just now getting good enough.
You could literally end up walking with your cell phone and just putting it on you, and all your stats come up.
Yeah, it's pretty
funny.
And
our connections.
It's like augmented reality stuff. I don't want to sound like some crazy futurist, but it's almost getting to the point where the technology makes that possible, and it's becoming more of a design issue and a product issue. And it's a fascinating space because you're dealing with so many new things. We've never had the ability to share this sort of information with the people around us. The idea behind Highlight is really, it lets you share a little bit of information about yourself in a privacy-controlled way with the people who are around you right now. And we've never been able to do that before. So part of it is that we Highlight are figuring out what user interactions we should enable and what the product should look like and trying to get all the details right. But part of it is that we as a society are still figuring out what the norm should be.
And how we deal with all these technologies infiltrating our lives.
Yeah, and we firmly believe that this is a really hard product to build, right? Because there's so many details you have to get right to just nail the user experience and the social engineering and to build something that women feel safe on and married people can use without seeming creepy, and something where you're not getting bothered when you don't want to get bothered.
So how do you do that?
There are a lot of, it's all in the details, right? So some things that we do, one, Highlight's entirely opt-in, which we think is really important. We don't scrape public check-in data or anything like that. If you're on the service, it's because you've chosen to try it out and you want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to, that's totally fine. And so you don't sign up for the service right now. Another thing is that it's based off real identity and mutual friends. And I think that goes a long way in helping you establish trust with someone that you see, and helping, if you want to talk to them, you don't have to, but if you want to, it helps you see all these hidden connections and mutual friends, which is really valuable. You have privacy controls, like you can limit your settings so only friends of friends can see you. And we really feel that if you build this product the right way, you can build something that almost anyone in the world would want to use. Like one example I was using the other day is that, even say, a mother with 3 children who's maybe in her 40s and doesn't have any interest in going to bars and meeting people right now would probably be willing to let her existing friends look at their phones when they're at a kid's birthday party with her and remember her husband's name and her kids' names and and where she works.
Interesting.
Right?
That's
And
another interesting use of it.
yeah, so it's initially about the serendipity. You just install it and it makes your day more fun. And we're hearing all of these crazy stories. Like I was running into someone yesterday, and they said they were at the airport and they were talking about, they had a sort of sensitive company phone call they were making, and they saw someone near them that looked kind of familiar.
Through Highlight?
Well, they noticed them in the real world, and the person looked kind of familiar, and so they checked out Highlight, and they saw that this person was a reporter, and, so
No
they said,
way.
So they said, you should keep it quiet, to their co-founder, right? Or like,
Is this going to make us all just too self-aware and aware of our surroundings? Is that a creepy thing to you, or something that's a good thing?
I think it's really similar to what we've seen in the online world over the last 5 or 10 years, right? I think that it's all about reducing friction.
Yeah.
And I feel that, like look at Facebook and Twitter. They make it. We've seen from these services a few things. One is that we love to talk about ourselves. We love sharing, right? We love telling people about the cool bands we know about and the cool companies we've worked at and the fun vacations we've been on. It's a very natural thing. And we love learning about other people. Like, we spend hours and hours just looking at our feeds because there's something special about that sort of ambient intimacy that you get from learning about these details about people's lives. We love doing it. And Facebook and Twitter and these other services have just reduced the friction in sharing stuff online by orders of magnitude. Mobile cameras have helped. All these other new technologies have helped. And all of a sudden, it's dramatically easier to share online than it was 10 years ago.
I have to ask you what the process was. All right, so you had your idea, and then when did you raise money right away?
So I was hanging out as an entrepreneur in residence, a benchmark, which means you hang out and figure out what you want to build.
Yeah.
And so I came in with 5 or 10 ideas that I thought were interesting, and I was working through them, and what I found was that my mind just kept coming back to this space, and I try and work on other stuff, and my mind would just keep coming back here, and so I figured out at some point, okay, this is probably what I should be building.
Yeah.
But it's like I said before, it's such a broad problem, such a broad space. Where do you start? Is it about social stuff? Is it about professional stuff? Is it web? Is it mobile? Is it about meeting people, or is it something else?
So you put it together, this whole outline.
Yeah, so I spent a bunch of time figuring out what I thought this product looked like, and that sort of came together early last year, and the core idea hasn't changed much since then. And then, we started building it. I started working with Ben nights and weekends around May, and we went and got this prototype built. We launched it in private alpha.
And then at what point did you go to Crunch Fund and Michael Arrington?
So we launched it in private alpha late last year, and then we closed the funding in January.
So tips to pitching Michael Arrington products.
So, we didn't really pitch people. Like, we just sort of built the product, and we got it out there, and we got a bunch of our friends using it, and that just sort of led to a lot of conversations, and it just sort of went from there. So there wasn't really like an active stage where we were pitching it.
So no intimidation factor to getting it done.
No, they've been great. MG's been really great.
Yeah. So where do you see this going now? What's the next step?
Yeah, I think that this is a really hard product to get right, but if you can do it, there's so many things that it can come out of it, right? Like remembering people's names. How many times have you been in a room with someone and you met them, but you can't remember their name? Or remembering where you met someone, or seeing all the crazy things that you have in common with them, or alert me the next time this type of person is near me. I think if you get it right, you're literally giving the world a sixth sense.
Well, Paul, I think it's really cool. Everyone's been talking about it, so all of you, I definitely encourage you to check it out. Highlight. You can download it now for Android or the iPhone.
It's just iPhone right
or
now,
iPhone, just the iPhone. When is Android coming out?
No specific date yet, but,
Well, anyway, it's something to look out for, and you're hearing it here first. We're bringing you all the news from the early adopters, the kids, and they were talking about Twitter in 2007, and you only heard about it in 2010. You're hearing about this now. So that's something to be said.
Yeah, thank you.
So, Paul Davison, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And, of course, stay tuned. We're bringing you more interviews from South by Southwest from the Samsung Blogger Lounge in just a bit. So keep it right here on youtube.com/what's trending.